You've probably received endless cues about your core, and you've probably tried really hard to do them, to get it right, to make it happen. But none of it has worked. None of it has given you the core you've been looking for. True core is easier than what you've been doing, but most people won't find it because they can't keep the rib cage and pelvis stacked. That's usually because of a weakness in one of 5 muscles. In this episode, I'm going to teach you those 5 muscles. You'll be able to self-diagnose which one is weak and what postural pattern is keeping you stuck, and then you can set it and forget it with your core. Let's go. If you're training your abs, you're going to do a lot of work, but you will still miss your true core, because true core is based on your breathing. It's driven by your diaphragm, and it requires your rib cage and pelvis to be stacked. That's where most people get lost, because most of us are stuck in a posture pattern that prevents us from getting the rib cage and pelvis stacked. Then the respiratory diaphragm and pelvic floor cannot talk, so they cannot generate the intra-abdominal pressure you need for that whole body stability. Here are the 3 most common posture patterns that prevent you from finding true core. Number 1 is the good posture trap. This is where you lift your chest, pull your shoulders back, and that swings your butt back. So the rib cage and pelvis are not stacked. Most people see the rib flare pattern, but just as problematic is what is happening in the pelvis. And when you're stuck like this, your low back feels fragile, your SI joint is unstable, your psoas can be chronically cranky. Number 2 is the safety tuck. This is where you tuck the tailbone under and the pelvis tilts backwards. Most people do this because it creates a sense of safety and protection for their lower back, but it's another misalignment that keeps you from getting stacked. Over time, you lose connection with your pelvic floor and your low back feels chronically tight. The vertebra at S1, L5, L4 can be compromised. Number 3 is gripping in all the wrong places. This is the bracing, holding, efforting in your neck, your shoulders, your groins, your butt. It creates tension, but no pressurized system. All of these patterns can give you the illusion of helping or protecting, trying to do something, and all of them keep you from getting stacked and finding true core. So you may have moments of feeling strong and stable in your center, but it's elusive. And when you need it on demand, like lifting something heavy, making the bed, picking up a grandkid, you can't find it. To get and maintain the stack, you need 5 muscles online. Almost everyone is weak in 1 or 2 of them because in modern life, we don't do as much physical fitness like chop wood, carry water. We're going to cover those 5 muscles now, and by the end, you'll know exactly what you've been missing. As we go through each one, self-diagnose by asking 3 questions. Do I know where this muscle is? Can I feel it? Do I know how to strengthen it? And for each muscle, I'll show you where it is. I'll give you signs and guideposts for what you want it to feel like. And I'll give you my favorite movement to build each muscle up. Number 1 is transverse abdominis. This is the deepest layer of your core, but you don't feel it or see it like the crunch muscles. So people tend to undervalue it. When it's working for you, it will feel like a hug or a light corset around your core. And its structure is very much like a corset. It literally wraps around your midsection, and it's under the other core muscles like the 6-pack muscles, rectus abdominis, and the sidewall abdominals, the obliques. Because it has this wrapping container basket weave like quality in your body, because it's deep, because it's not a major mover, because it's more of a stabilizer, it's important to know what to look for when engaging, activating transverse abdominis. You'll sense it most during exhale. And during exhale, there will be this wrapping, pressurizing hug around your midsection. It's not a squeeze, it's not a brace, it is definitely not navel to spine. My favorite place to feel it is a movement I call the core press exercise. You'll lay down, you'll press your hands into your thighs, thighs into your hands, you'll inhale and allow the ribs to expand, and then exhale slow and steady through pursed lips like you're breathing through a straw to sense that light pressurized hug, that corset action of transverse abdominis. This is the best and easiest place to teach and train that muscle group. And part of what you're doing too is training your mind to look for a different sensation, to find satisfaction in that light pressurized hug instead of the bracing, squeezing, navel to spine, hollowing out, suctioning of the abdomen. Number 2 are the obliques. When people throw their back out, it's usually with a lifting, twisting motion, and that's the obliques. They stabilize side to side and across your body. They attach at the side ribs and the upper rim of the pelvis. So they also help stabilize your pelvis by lifting the pelvis in the front, and you get a little hug, a little lift in the lower abdomen, right above your pubic bone, so much lower than the navel. And these muscles are almost braided, they're layered, they're running diagonally along the sides of your torso. These muscles are dynamic connectors. They help you stay pressurized, they maintain the stack while you're moving side to side or twisting. Similar to transverse abdominis, the sensation is more of a hug, more of a drawing in and down of the ribs, a light lifting up of the low belly. Much more subtle sensations than the gripping, bracing, crunching of rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscles. My favorite movement to activate and train the obliques is a side forearm plank. You can lift into a forearm plank and then shift side to side. Much more challenging is to lift from the floor into the side forearm plank. You can spice it up even more with bent knees and a clamshell action. Muscle group number 3 are the hamstrings. Whether you've gotten stuck tucked under or with your ribs forward, butt back, both are hamstring issues. Most yogis have spent years or decades stretching their hamstrings. And the amount of hamstring stretching far outweighs the hamstring strengthening. So for most of us, the hamstrings are long, loose, and weak. And this leads to an unstable pelvis, a confused pelvic floor, and a lack of clarity when it comes to core. The hamstrings attach on the back of your legs at the sitting bones, which are like the heels of your pelvis, and then run all the way down below and behind the knee. The hamstrings anchor the pelvis in the back from the sitting bones. And remember, the obliques lift the pelvis from the front and the pubic bone. Together, they're like a pulley system that balances the pelvis. When your pelvis is neutral, not overly tucked, not butt back, but grounded and stable, then your pelvic floor can have its natural spring and reflect the rhythm of the respiratory diaphragm. And that's what creates intra-abdominal pressure. So a grounded, neutral, stable pelvis is like the base of the pressure system. No base, no pressure, no stability throughout your whole body. My favorite movement for strengthening the hamstrings is bridging. Yogis have to be careful not to use the flexibility of their lower back, but instead to use the hamstrings, which makes it feel more planky. There are endless variations of bridging. A good one to get started is the butterfly bridge. Add a challenge with heels on a block, or put a resistance band on your shins. Muscle number 4 is serratus anterior. Yoga asks for strength here, but does almost nothing to build it. And that's why we see so many shoulder injuries, especially in chaturanga. Without serratus anterior, the rib flare will always be there, and the shoulder blades will have a hard time finding their place because serratus has these feather-like fibers that wrap around your lower ribs. Serratus helps draw the ribs in and down and pin your shoulder blade onto your rib cage. So the rib cage is held in and down and stays stacked over the pelvis, so your respiratory diaphragm, pelvic floor can find the rhythm and relationship that generates the pressure system. When the rib cage gets pushed forward and the front ribs are lifted and flared outward, the respiratory diaphragm, the muscle of your breathing, can also get stuck. Then you feel like you can never get a full deep breath. You tend to breathe into your chest, and the core work just never makes any sense. My favorite movement for teaching, training, and strengthening serratus anterior is a Sphinx cat-cow. You'll inhale, draw the chest forward without letting the ribs flare, and then exhale, loft the ribs up and in without excessively rounding your upper back and crunching your shoulders and your neck. So it's a simple movement, and there's endless refinement. Take your time with this one. Explore and experiment. This is a muscle group that is rarely trained, and it's often the linchpin for my students and clients. Number 5, the adductors. Also known as your inner thighs, the adductors create what I call midline magic, this light hug towards the center of your body. You will not get nearly as much engagement here, so no firing like the quads, not even that strong, steady strength like the hamstrings. These are more like transverse abdominis, light hugging in. But they tie everything together, and I see the inner thighs as the gateway to the pelvic floor. When you don't have that hug, it's like you're scattered and you can't connect the dots. My favorite movement to train the inner thigh line is to put a squishy ball, you could use a blanket or a pillow if you're in a pinch, and do the core work at the wall. You'll be surprised at the awareness and recalibration that can happen in your body with this simple exercise. Now, that probably sounds like a lot, but all of these muscles have one job: to keep the rib cage and pelvis stacked so respiratory, diaphragm, and pelvic floor can talk, and generate the intra-abdominal pressure you need for true core stability. So when I do or teach core work, it's not crunches or abs, it's movement that is teaching and training the stack. When students and clients have a hard time finding their core, when students and clients feel core work in their low back, in their groins, in their neck, in their shoulders, I am looking for which of these 5 muscles is underutilized, because that's why they're losing the stack. That's why they can't find true core, and it's why something else is trying to do the job. Because when one or more of these muscles is weak or underutilized or offline, you will have a harder time finding and maintaining that stack. And without the alignment of that stack, you will be unable to generate true core through your breathing. So some other muscle or muscle group, like your low back, your shoulders, your neck, or groins, will try to pick up the slack. Then you get stuck in a compensating pattern that usually creates pain and tension over time. There's a practice that goes with this podcast where you can teach and train these 5 muscles. And when you go do that practice, remember, core is not abs. It will not feel like crunches. It will not be bracing, over-efforting, grabbing, pulling, hollowing, any of that. True core is a system. It's a relationship. It depends on that stack. And when you're stacked, when you're aligned, it's like interlocking gears, and core just happens. You can set it and forget it. You don't have to chase it, force it, make it happen. It is with you through your breathing. The next thing to do is explore and experiment in your own body. Do the unshakable core practice next. And if you're someone who has compensating patterns, your low back is tight and achy after core work, your neck gets grippy and grabby, your shoulders are crawling towards your ears, your hip flexors are tight like guitar strings, watch episode 3 in this series. It'll help you unravel those patterns so you can access your true core. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.